I have a reading that was suggested to me by one of the members here in the Santa Barbara Center and wanted to share it with you. It brings in some very interesting ideas that actually I've been thinking about in the past and thought it might be fun to share. It's Ramakrishna speaking. He says, "Suffering is inevitable when one assumes a human body. Every now and then I say to myself, may I not have to come back to the earth again. But there is something else. After enjoying sumptuous feasts outside, one does not relish this cheap home cooking. Besides, this assuming of a human body is for the sake of the devotees." Sri Ramakrishna looks at Narendra very tenderly. The master to Narendra. An outcast was carrying a load of meat. Shankaracharya, after bathing in the Ganges, was passing by him. Suddenly the outcast touched him. Shankara replied sharply, "What? You've touched me!" "Revered sir," he replied, "I have not touched you, nor have you touched me. Reason with me. Are you the body? Are you the mind? Are you the intellect? Analyze what you are. You are the pure Atman, unattached and free, unaffected by the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Do you know what Brahman is like?" Ramakrishna asks. "It is like the air. Good and bad smells are carried by the air, but the air itself is unaffected." Narendra, "Yes, sir." Master, "He is beyond the gunas and maya, beyond both the maya of knowledge and the maya of ignorance. Lust and greed is the maya of ignorance." So very interesting little analysis here. And if you know, in the past, I've riffed quite a bit on this idea of the fact that we've never touched, seen, heard, tasted anything. That really the body takes in those senses and then transfers that information to the mind through your nerves. And the mind then displays that information for you, the witness of the mind. And that you can see this in the fact that your mind is in a black box, and so you've never seen light. And so what your mind does is it takes the nerve signals and it creates symbols for the information that's carried by them. And so the world that you live in is not a world, it's your mind. And so in that sense, you live in a mind and not the world, and nothing has ever touched you. Nothing has ever been added to you or taken away from you. You are merely the spirit. You are spiritual by nature. And your spirit, this eternal witness of the mind and body, is often mixed up with the mind and body, and that's how we get personality and our existence. And so the butcher here in this case is pointing that out to Shankaracharya. But the part that I'm very interested in is when Ramakrishna then feels the need to tell us about Brahman. Now, if you remember, Ramakrishna has taught that pure mind and Brahman are one and the same. And so when he says Brahman is like the air, which can carry both good and bad smells, but is unaffected by them, it is possible that he's talking about the mind also, can carry good and bad thoughts, but in truth is unaffected by them. And so your thoughts, your ideas, your sense of self are like good and bad smells in the mind that basically affect how you see everything else. You know, imagine sitting and eating your favorite food in a stinky bathroom. It's going to be a very different experience from sitting in a dining room, which has a neutral or pleasant smell, and eating the same food. Knowing that you live in a mind, it's important to keep the smells of that mind pleasant, clean, positive, thinking holy thoughts, thinking kind thoughts, if you're going to think at all. Or if you want to experience the mind as pure air, it's withdrawing thought altogether from it. So just some things to think about. This separation from mind and body, the idea of a pure mind, the idea of a mind undisturbed, the idea of stopping thought and experiencing the moment in real time, not listening to the stories of the mind, not listening or smelling the smells that may have polluted it from your past or from your wrong ideas about the present.